We have a huge update for Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 3. Not only did we get a full-length trailer, but we got a release date, a look at the cover, which is a classic from DC, and all the special features. So let's take a couple minutes to dive into it all, break it down, and talk about the finale of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now before we do that though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently, so you are in the know. Well, we finally got a trailer for Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 3, and along with the trailer, we have a release date. The new trailer really gives us some pretty interesting takes on the classic series, and it looks like the high-stakes finale is indeed set to end the Tomorrowverse as we know it. Now, the trailer itself is quick-moving, and it really doesn't give away too many major story details, but it's pretty clear the Anti-Monitor is on the loose, and we have a whole slew of heroes set to try to save the multiverse. It also appears to be giving Lex Luthor a front and center position, and although it's not clear yet, this very well could be the Lex from Earth 3, who is often a hero, but seems to have already run awry of various versions of Superman. Now, there was a lot of other interesting details in the trailer, and honestly, one of the ones that stood out to me was the take on not just Batman, but several of his villains. Throughout the trailer, we got a peek at Two-Face, Scarecrow, and the Joker, and if you're familiar with the original comic, it's super unclear to me exactly where all these villains will fit into the overall story, and honestly, why they would even side against the heroes, well, besides the Joker, because the end result is simply them all dying. Now, in terms of cameos, well, it keeps on delivering at new levels. The trailer ends with another Batman the Animated Series tease, which I think is front and center for many people, with the return of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the two classic characters they brought to life for decades. There also was a quick glimpse of Aya from Green Lantern the Animated Series, but to be fair, she also exists on Earth 16, so we could honestly see maybe more Young Justice characters show up, but I didn't notice any of them in the trailer. Now, probably the biggest surprise in the form of cameos was Super Friends. There is a short peek at that classic team with Batman checking out a clue and Wonder Woman looming in the background. Now, this series ran from 1973 to 1985. On Saturday morning, it was developed by Hanna-Barbera. So seeing this classic animation style return here is a huge surprise, and honestly guys, gets me even more excited because this is my very first superhero cartoon. Now, as for plot details, well, it's still following the original story, but they are truly forging out on their own path. There seems to be a lot of variation from the comic, but I think they are going to go out of their way to hit some of the major beats. And that's where the cover for the Blu-ray comes in. Now, when you check out the cover, this is clearly a homage to one of the most popular covers in all of DC history. During the original Crisis event, Supergirl is killed, and the famous cover involves Superman holding Supergirl, screaming in anguishing pain. And now it does appear that Supergirl will indeed die in this movie, but it is comic books, and as many of you know, very few people ever stay dead except, well, Uncle Ben. Now, as for the release information, we have learned that the final Crisis movie is coming at us pretty soon. It's going to release on digital on July the 16th and on 4K and Steelbook on July the 23rd. Along with that, we got a full synopsis that's tied to the release, and it's fairly interesting too and worth a definite read. It says, now fully revealed as the ultimate threat to existence, the Anti-Monitor wages an unrelenting attack on the surviving Earths that struggle for survival in a pocket universe. One by one, these worlds and all their inhabitants are vaporized. On the planets that remain, even time itself is shattered, and heroes from the past join the Justice League and their ragtag allies against the epitome of evil. But as they make a last stand, will the sacrifice of the superheroes be enough to save us all? So clearly this is going to be a seminal event, and I think will be the basis of launching a new DC animated universe, probably the one headed up by James Gunn. Now, we also found out what special features are going to be enclosed in the Blu-rays, and apparently we're going to get 3. The 3 titles are A Multiverse of Inspiration, John and John, Stewart and Constantine, and An Epic Challenge, Crisis in Comics and Animation, which honestly is the one that has me most excited because I am wondering exactly how they work to adapt such a complex, huge, and historic story from DC Comics. Obviously, this is going to be a big event. We're going to continue to cover it on this channel. Overall, I think they've done a decent job at bringing this all together. It is one of the most seminal comics of all time and very difficult to adapt. And I really do love the fact that in the first 6 months of the year, we're getting all 3 pieces of this movie, keeping the hype level pretty high and fans, well, mostly satisfied.